In January of 2018, cryptocurrency markets were in the midst of a bull run. Bitcoin was trading at around $15,000 and Ethereum was at around $1,000. Sentiment was high and people were looking for places to stash their digital gold. A man named Andrew Schober was browsing Reddit when he saw a link posted which redirected to a cryptocurrency wallet called Electrum Atom. He downloaded the program and installed it. However, shortly after downloading the wallet, he realized that it was not what it seemed. Something was up, and although he didn't know what, he knew that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. So Andrew uninstalled it, and that was it. He was done with it. What he was unaware of, though, was that the program he downloaded was actually malware, and it had already infected his machine and, despite being uninstalled, remained in a dormant state, waiting for the right moment to strike. The way the malware operated was similar to a Trojan virus, thus making it almost impossible to remove. It wasn't just any old virus, though. It had been purposefully built to target anyone who might be transacting in cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin. Bitcoin is stored in a digital wallet, and each wallet is assigned an address made up of a generated string of numbers and letters. So if you want to send Bitcoin to your friend's wallet, you just need to take their address and enter it alongside the desired amount of Bitcoin you wish to send. This is typical, but what the malware would do is when a user copied a wallet address to their clipboard, the malware would replace the stored address with an almost identical copy of it that would redirect any funds sent to this other address owned by the hacker. And this is exactly what happened. When Andrew went to send 16.4 Bitcoins to a wallet, his Bitcoins were redirected to a wallet owned by the hacker, all without him knowing. Andrew had been acquiring Bitcoin slowly since 2014, and at the time, his stack was worth approximately $220,000, and this made up 95% of his net worth. Not to rub it in or anything, but at its all-time high, it would have been worth $1.1 million. So for Andrew, this was life-changing money. You can imagine how devastating this was for him to lose such a large chunk of capital in one go. That's where stories like this usually end, though. Hacker steals money and runs off. Nobody knows who or where they are. But Andrew was determined. He wanted justice, and he was going to go to whatever lengths he needed to so that he could recover his lost Bitcoin and make the crooks who stole it pay. Shortly after losing his Bitcoin, Andrew reported the hack to the FBI, something that we'll touch more on later. But this was just the start of Andrew's quest to recoup his losses. He immediately began tirelessly working to track down the perpetrators, sifting through transaction history so that he could determine who had stolen his money. The great thing about the blockchain is when funds are sent, there is a digital footprint left behind on what is known as a ledger. And this ledger is a digital recount of all transactions made on the blockchain, thus making it a great way to trace the movements of a Bitcoin and a great way to work out where Andrew's funds were sent. Andrew was able to identify funds that had been stolen by the same malware, and he was able to trace them to a platform called Shapeshift, which allows users to swap cryptocurrency. He could see that the Bitcoin had been swapped for Monero, which is another privacy-focused cryptocurrency. Uncovering this, Andrew then went and posted on the Monero subreddit and asked if it was possible to trace Monero transactions. And this is when a man named Nick Bax replied amidst a sea of doubters and told him through a direct message, "This is really hard to do, but I've done it before, and I know one lawyer who managed to get funds recovered once." Nick began leading the recovery operation, and let me just say, this guy is a bloody genius. He coded the Monero tracing software himself, and although it is now much harder, this method of cracking Monero ring signatures has proven itself useful over the years, most notably during the fallout of the WannaCry ransomware campaign in 2017. In the case of Andrew, they were able to trace stolen funds from Shapeshift to another Bitcoin wallet. This was a special kind of wallet known as a vanity wallet, and essentially, it's just a normal Bitcoin wallet. But it's a rare one because the generated characters and numbers spell out a particular word or name, and people are willing to pay money for that. Anyway, the address Nick uncovered read 1 Benedict, and this is where some of the stolen funds were siphoned out to. Like I said, Monero is a cryptocurrency more heavily focused on privacy. So at the time, if you were looking to fly under the radar, Monero was a good choice. The attackers even went as far as to convert the funds to Monero on the Shapeshift platform and then ran the funds back through the protocol so that they could withdraw Bitcoin instead. A forensic investigation was conducted on Andrew's computer, which was helpful in determining how exactly the hackers were able to redirect the funds. The malware was pre-coded with 195,112 different Bitcoin wallet addresses. This was a crucial part of the program because there needed to be a close enough match to any foreseeable address that was copied by the victim. Otherwise, they might realize they're being scammed. Let me take you down the rabbit hole. Out of the 195,112 addresses which were extracted from the malware, only 4 had received Bitcoin between the end of 2017 and January 2018. This includes the address that received Andrew's Bitcoin. This information was crucial to the investigation as it would allow for other alleged thefts to be linked to this one. 1 month after Andrew's crypto was stolen, it was moved from the malware address to a Bitfinex deposit address, and 2 of the 4 addresses had sent Bitcoin to a different Bitfinex deposit address. There was also another transaction made from 2 of the malware addresses that interacted with a separate Bitfinex deposit address. And we'll talk more about this one later, but it's a really important discovery. The issue with this newly found information was that the deposit addresses are what is known as a hot wallet, which is essentially a wallet owned by an exchange or group that is used to receive customer funds. Unfortunately, it is hard to track where funds are transferred once they enter a hot wallet. However, this information is kept by exchanges. Andrew subpoenaed Bitfinex and requested that they provide the information of the accounts which received the stolen Bitcoin. This is the response he got. Bitfinex will only respond to law enforcement requests for customer information, not civil requests, because Bitfinex does not get involved in civil matters, in particular in the United States, since U.S. courts do not have jurisdiction over us. Andrew's lawyer, Ethan Mora, then initiated what is known as a TUI request to the Cyber Division of the FBI and demanded documents and other information related to the agency's own investigations. The FBI began issuing subpoenas to websites that were associated with the malware, including Reddit and GitHub. After about 10 months, the TUI request had worked, and Andrew's team found themselves with a stack of information, including internal Bitfinex data, which pointed to the IP and email addresses that received Andrew's stolen Bitcoin. With this information, Andrew's legal team could now identify the hackers' accounts across a range of online services, including Gmail, Reddit, Twitter, and GitHub. GitHub is one of the most crucial too, because it turns out that the hacker had posted code crucial to the malware on the website, and this was all publicly available. The One Benedict Vanity Wallet address was also verified by some of the associated accounts and was also proof of the hacker's identity as it matched his first name. Benedict Thompson, who at the time of the attack was still a minor, is from Southampton and attended the University of Warwick for computer science. Another person they identified to have been involved in the heist was a person named Oliver Reed, and from what I gathered online, they became aware of his involvement through posts he made on Reddit, which were promoting the same malware. Oliver Reed was also a minor at the time of the attack and is from Bradford. He too studied computer science, although he went to Greenhead College in Huddersfield. But these 2 guys are partly what makes this case so polarizing in my opinion. These 2 young British schoolboys are responsible for this incredibly sophisticated heist, and they left this huge digital footprint behind, which gives us a great insight to how they were able to pull this off, but also ultimately led to their demise. In May of 2021, Andrew filed a lawsuit in Colorado against Benedict Thompson and Oliver Reed's parents. What complicated matters were that both the alleged perpetrators lived in the UK. So the FBI had to refer the case to UK law enforcement, who went on to arrest both Thompson and Reed, who had their devices seized and forensically searched. Andrew did give the parents of Benedict and Oliver a chance before this would happen. He said that he wanted to give them a chance to come clean and return the money. However, this warning was not heeded. This may have been a mistake on Andrew's part, because the UK Crown Prosecution Service told him that the devices they seized were brand new, so there wasn't enough forensic evidence on them to press charges. Both Thompson and Reed deny any involvement in the incident. However, in public court filings, Andrew and his legal team released a barrage of evidence they uncovered from their own and the FBI's investigation. In public court filings, Andrew and his legal team released a trove of evidence that they claim paints a vivid picture of how this heist took place. This includes an FBI document which includes vital digital forensic evidence to the case. The crucial piece of information they needed was who owned the accounts that handled the funds. The FBI documents revealed that the associated Bitfinex username of the 1GQT deposit address was James and John, and the associated email was annaadmoms12@gmail.com. Benedict Thompson acknowledged using the email, however he claims that it was also used by others. He denies using the alias James and John, however the FBI claimed in their documents that Benedict had actually posted on GitHub, where he disclosed he was using a computer with the username James and John. One of the other addresses in question was beginning in 3CQW, and this address was registered to a Bitfinex account with the username THP2K. The FBI document claims that this account was accessed via an IP address from Southampton, where Thompson lives. The first 3 octets of the IP address match other IP addresses used by Benedict, so they allege that it could only be Benedict or someone on the same subnet as his devices. If all this wasn't enough, corroborating evidence that Andrew uncovered showed that Benedict Thompson was allegedly posting incriminating stuff online just a few weeks before the hack took place. He wrote to the Bitcoin dev mailing list and explained essentially the inner workings of malware he was theorizing. Malware, which we now know was used to siphon Andrew's Bitcoin wallet. Despite all the evidence he's gathered, the case remains ongoing as lawyers argue about which jurisdiction the trial should take place. This leaves Andrew stuck in limbo as he waits for justice. Lawyers for the defendants claim that the case should be dismissed because Andrew, living in the US, does not have any jurisdiction over someone in the UK. And they also argue that the statute of limitations has expired for him to file a complaint. The statute of limitations in this case would prevent someone from pursuing a legal case against someone 3 years after the matter in a case like this, which would have been almost impossible because it took so long to identify the potential suspects. Like, you just can't win. Regardless, this is definitely an unprecedented case. I literally can't think of another time when a victim of a hack like this has tracked down the hackers and sued them, all whilst doing so under international law. But how can this be resolved? It's really anyone's guess. But if a US court rules in Andrew's favor, a court in the UK would also need to recognize the ruling before that ruling could be enforced. Andrew claims that he had been able to trace a sizable amount of Bitcoin, which was sitting in addresses connected to the robbery, so it would appear he could still be reimbursed. Whatever happens, I think it's a good lesson in OPSEC, and anyone dabbling in digital currencies should be made aware of this, because it's truly a crazy world out there. As always, I really appreciate the support on my videos, and I read all the comments. So if you want to get involved in the discussion or think I missed something, please let me know down below. Until next time, farewell.